Hey, everybody, welcome to another Monday morning productivity call. This is really an accountability call, but I know people hate that word accountability. So we're infusing productivity instead. I think it's very, very beneficial for us to come together on Mondays, get our heads, our focus, everything trained in the right direction for a very productive week. But the magic behind this, the power of influence behind this is just having it in the back of your mind that you are expected to show up on Monday mornings at 11 a.m. Central with some results, with some wins to talk about. And then on the productivity side, what I want to try to do is examine what you did to hit those goals, to highlight what you did to hit those goals, or we may be having a discussion about what got in the way. Okay, so what got in the way of you, hitting your goals this past week? That way we can work through it. We just need to make sure that, we're running the plays that work, that we're on the right path, that we are running our business like a business, that we're doing things correctly. For example, are we diversified in our efforts, in our lead generation, our lead conversion, our prospecting methods? Are we diverse enough in that regard? But what we have been talking about, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it today unless people want to talk about it specifically, if they have questions about it. But what we have been, or what I have been trying to establish as, a productivity really strategy is the specialization. From a real estate agent, even a mortgage professional, evolving from a generalist to a specialist. So the whole name of the game, at least in today's attention economy, is what are you known for? Are you establishing a specialization by which it is easiest for consumers to find you in the marketplace? Okay. I had an agent reach out to me from another market asking me late questions this morning about, valuation questions. So that tells me that what I'm doing is working, that people are recognizing the specialization that I am trying to establish. So what is yours? Do you have one? And so this is what I recommended is, and how we establish this is by social media. Okay. The content that we create on social media. So the game plan really is pretty simple. It's 80% content around your specialization and then 20% for everything else. Right. So I had a listing appointment yesterday. Sellers I was sitting with actually recognized the fact that, that I'm selling, in Birmingham, all the way up to Coleman and in and around Smith Lake. They're like, yeah, so you're doing both markets. I'm like, yeah, well, my goal is to do Smith Lake full time, but I'm feeding my family by, predominantly business around, Birmingham. So, that just justifies that they are seeing the content, they are interpreting it the way I want them to, and I'm developing this identity as a lake agent. So that's all I wanted to say about that, right? I don't want to hammer anybody on that. I'm just wanting to recognize that if you are not establishing a public, forward facing specialization, then I think by default, it would be safe to assume that you're just the jack of all trades. Now, the only thing I would mention there is, like, just as a caveat, a footnote is, is this true in your business? How you've always done it is how you're always going to do it. If that's the case, we may need to switch it up. And that's where that word I used just a second ago, diversity, comes in, right? So here's an example. If Blake Ray, like how he's always done it, is pound the phone, pound the rock of phone prospecting, if that's not producing the results that he needs and wants in his business right at this very moment, then it's time to diversify, right? It's time to, put a toe in a different pond and test that out. Maybe develop, and maybe that would lead to the development of a specialization that brings him more attention, right? The irrefutable aspects of this is the consistency on the social media. And what I've just decided to do is like just stick with Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and to get more consistent out of, so let's just, I think I'll go this way. It's Meta and Google, or is it Meta and Alphabet? Like, is Alphabet the parent company of Google? But so I just want to focus on those two. I can't deal with, is TikTok going to be around or not in a few months? So, and then what I've found is just having to have all these different channels to post content to leads me to be less consistent on the posting, even though I have a virtual assistant who's helping me with that. So now we are just both kind of a united front focusing on Google. And so with Google, I'm looking at YouTube. I'm looking at Google My Business page, starting to feed that with content. Google PPC, so Google AdWords, and then all, everything that comes with Facebook and Instagrams, the reels, the stories, the whole thing, right? So just focusing on that and simplifying that approach makes me more consistent. Any thoughts or questions on that? All right, so let's talk about maybe some wins. So I've got a new pending. Potentially by the end of the day, I might have another pending, and I'm just attributing that to, setting 6 appointments last week, conducting 4 successfully. That's 3 buyer, 1 seller. And I don't know, but I was very busy out and about doing things in the field last week. So I only had 38 conversations. So could potentially have had a better week if I had made up some ground with the conversations. But does anybody have any good news to share about what's going on in their business? Did they make anything happen last week, or is there something they're optimistic about for this coming week?
I've been sticking with my 2. I'm way over my goal of sending out the application. Looks like I'm going to have about 3 of them hitting around the same time. Did lose 2 deals last week, which sucks, but it is what it is.
Based on like financing?
1 financing, 1 was just a really bad inspection, but she'll probably resurface. She's in Arizona, which is kind of hard because she just wants to rethink, but she'll be right back into it.
So I think a big thing for us all to kind of consider, and this is something that I'm like, for me personally, I'm really having to work on, is to focus on how many opportunities that I'm creating, how many opportunities am I taking advantage of to get face to face, and then defaulting to phone, text, email to kind of make up the difference, right? To make up the ground, or support and nurture existing relationships that are already established. So, here's an example, okay, of how like you've got this potential snowball effect. So, one of the things I've always done, because it's like one of the things I did first right out of the gate when I got my real estate license, is I went after for sale by owners. And back then it was because I just didn't know anything else to do. Like I went to my team leader and said, how can I get started with this? And she was like, go after FSBOs, and here's how you do it. Just like a 10-minute conversation. Make sure you do this and make sure you do this, and go for it. So I just continued that to this day. So I reached out to a for sale by owner on Smith Lake, who just happens to be a builder, a home builder, a real estate investor. And right now, he's got 3 homes that are newly constructed and ready to go. He's calling it his like spring inventory launch. Okay. So I've been busy and this guy kind of got off my radar, but I circled back with him recently and I said, hey, do you still, am I still good to go out and do some marketing for you? Because I saw him post this new house. So the third of the trio, right? It's completed and he was doing some marketing on his Facebook page. So I saw it, reached out. He's like, go for it. Well, when I got out there, I realized the other 2 that I've been like helping him market from last fall were still available. And so I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna do a big video featuring all 3 of these homes. Okay. And then I put them all on Facebook Marketplace and then I shared all of them to the Coleman surrounding Smith Lake area buy sell trade groups on Facebook and saw, I know I'm getting kind of long winded, but stay with me here. I'm about to reel this in. Then I saw somebody post something about a Facebook post saying they had a cancellation and their lake house, their romantic lake house getaway is open for Valentine's Day and Valentine's Day weekend. Here's the special. DM'd that person and said, hey, can I feature your Airbnb on my YouTube channel? So this is kind of a new addition I've added is going after these Airbnb folks. Turns out the Airbnb lady also has 3 homes that are nearing final stages of completion. She saw me advertising and working with this other builder who's selling these homes on his own and was like, hey, I would like some of that, or I'd like to learn more about what you do, what you charge, what's in it for you, all these kind of things. And so here comes another opportunity. Now I could do, a big mega agent open house. Blake, we can do a big mega agent open house at this development. Any of our agents are available. We could do this. What other opportunities can we gain from this? And then now we've got these 3 other homes that are coming. And then who knows? This guy's been trying to sell them on his own since really last summer. One of these homes at least was done by last summer. The other one I think was completed in the fall. But who knows? There may be a listing opportunity here. But then I will say finally, the advantage is that, I'm sharing these listings all over the web. I'm boosting them. I'm putting a little ad budget behind the marketplace listing and boosting it. Buyers opportunities come from that, but really a lot of people will interpret that as just my listing. So like, man, he's busy. Okay. And so we talk a lot about people judging, making it a determination on whether or not you're somebody they want to do business with by what they see on your social media. They use that as a digital resume. Is this person worthy of my business? So just some food for thought. My question to the group here is, what ponds are you fishing in? Right. I think, I know Diana does this. I'm sure Tracy does this. They are constantly loving on realtors, taking them to do stuff, happy hours, mani pedis, just loving on them, gift baskets, pop buys, the whole thing. Chris is working a lot with investors. I'm sure he would say, finding that one right investor has changed the face of his business. But what am I missing? What are some ideas you guys can share with people that maybe watch this in a replay capacity and are looking for opportunities to learn where real estate business is coming from in 2025?
Not on your couch.
Yeah, so this is a contact sport, right? You got to get out there and do something. One of the things you can do,
get involved with your neighborhood.
100%, right? So, Tracy, what does that look like? Have you hosted a successful neighborhood event? Do you do direct mail to your neighborhood, or do you know realtors that are crushing it with this? Do you partner with realtors that are doing this?
Yeah, I partner with people in my neighborhood and we target, our neighborhood specifically. We have it's called Lower Greenville, my neighborhood. Anyway, we host events quarterly, and we sponsor a booth or whatever. And it's a great way to just meet neighbors and stuff like that. But, that's what I would say for realtors. Like, get out there and, sponsor stuff in your neighborhood. So it's the best way to get
and it doesn't have
involved.
to be grandiose either. Like I bought in
No.
24 pack of Busch Light for all the every wiffle ball game, and we have that tailgate, and then people start bringing food. Becomes the thing, and then I bought some beer for the Super Bowl party I was at, which was just a great night in general for the Philadelphia Eagles, not so much for the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes, but it was a really great event. Like, I don't want to use the term event because that's not what I was going there for, but ended up having a lot of real estate conversations.
That's great.
Yeah, perfect example, right? I mean, a lot of people, may wonder, like, why is Diana selling all these earrings and how does she have time to fool with it? But she had a pop-up yesterday, a little pop-up event. I think she sold like 10 or 12 pairs of earrings, but for her, it was the connections that she made, the conversations she had, the relationships that she built is more valuable. So that's a method that she's using, right, to just build relationships, right? And you see people like sharing pictures on Facebook and stuff, and that's just bringing more attention to her on, I think, in the virtual space, and then it's leading to actual real live connections in person. What about Chris? What are you doing? Anything to add? Like, how did you connect with this? I would say this is fair, right? I mean, I don't know if Chris has just one single investor that has changed really, I think, the course and the scope of his business, or are there multiple investors? Has that investor introduced you to other investors? Have all the social media advertising you have done around these fix and flips, has that led to buyer business, more seller business, people like saying, hey, I see how you market these homes, I want you to come list my house?
As far as the investors, yeah, I have been a lot of. Last year, I would say I'm trying to target something different this year. So last year, I would say me posting a lot of our flips that we've done, and before the house, the project, and then after the house when we market it, the whole entire process, and putting it on social media. I've had a lot of investors, a lot of sellers and buyers, who have distressed properties reach out to me and want to get off their properties. There's a little bit of, I guess, caveat to that from last year that I've learned that, my price point was really low, because dealing with investors, they're going to buy super low,
right?
So you say that, you purchase the house 30 days to close, and then, 3 months to flip the house, and then another 3 months to list the house. That's a half a year right there that you're at a lower price point until you sell the house at a higher price point. So then it's a lot of deals that you would have to do. So this year, I'm kind of targeting more of, when I'm doing my Facebook videos and social media videos, doing it the after part, so I can get more seller leads, the higher end of seller leads at the higher price point. It's great working with investors, especially if you find that one investor who is, faithful to you, their agent, that's not jumping around from agents to agents, who is going to be truthful to you, saying that, hey, look, I'm flipping this house to sell it, not to rent it out, because really righteously it's only hurting you, the realtor, if they're going to rent it out, because you're only making money off the low end and you're hoping to make money off the high end too. So you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot and just talking. I've dropped a lot of investors because they did that. They told me one thing and they did something else, and I just don't think that's right for my business. I want someone who's going to be truthful. If you tell me up front that you're going to rent it out, okay, great. But don't tell me that you're going to do something and then do it later.
How did you meet your investor that has given you all this business?
From a friend of a friend. So I was actually looking at an investment property for a friend that I used to work with in the restaurant, and then his GC that he brought, because my friend was out of state, so his GC lives here in the state, and me and his general contractor just started talking a lot, and he liked how I talked and liked how I moved and and showed him like all these properties. And he's like, hey, I want to introduce you to this other investor that I know. And he said, I think that y'all two would be a really good fit. I just like how that, I like your Facebook. I like how you talk, how you present yourself, X, Y, and Z. And then met her and we talked and we just kind of clicked and got along. And, we had the same type of, goals that we wanted, and alignments just lined it up and everything.
And they like how you move.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I can't get clients, right?
So here's what I picked out of what Chris said, some teachable moments, like how important your sphere of influence is. So, Chris works at a restaurant. Sounds like he's letting everybody know that he's a real estate agent at that restaurant. And so led to this connection that has given him so much experience, like valuable experience. I have put in a ton of time at the lake, just learning like where things are, how do things work. So I've kind of been paying my dues. I think it's important that people hear sphere of influence, but also like pay your dues, put the time in, like sacrifice. Yes, there's all this time and effort that goes into it, but there's always going to be this reward of knowledge that is going to give Chris the confidence. That's a word we haven't used lately, but it's so key, confidence to try to build this business based off of listings and a higher price point. So the only advice that I would offer is try to, as best you can, develop something that's hyper local. So if you are buying seller leads, targeting a specific zip code would be ideal. It would even be more ideal if you were targeting getting more refined from that. Like a geographical area like Bluff Park, focusing on that, deciding who is your avatar that you're going to go after and where does that person live. Like 35226 is one of the most affluent zip codes in Hoover. So, if you want to be the 35226 king or queen, then, that's where you're eating, that's where you're shopping, that's where you're going to the community events. It's ideally where you live. So that's your zip code. If it's not your zip code, what we've been preaching for years is then it's a zip code you want to move to. You want to be a resident of this zip code. So try to tighten it up so that very consistently you're talking about this area, this neighborhood, this subdivision, this tight geographical area.
Yeah, I don't want you to get off the subject of what you were talking about there. Like, because you started it off by asking him to the agent that's not on this call, right?
Yeah.
And really, I think 90% of it all ends up the same, which is it doesn't have to start as a real estate conversation. It just has to progressively move towards it. Going to the restaurant, Chris, right? Talking to people they used to work with, all those things. You didn't go out to the lake and go, hey, I'm a realtor. Now I'm going to do a cold plunge.
Yeah.
You got in front of the people. I think that's the thing I don't want to get missed. I don't want to see the end result.
No,
it's just step into the restaurant you worked at.
Yeah. I reach out to for sale by owners, local businesses, Airbnb owners and hosts. My whole thing is like free marketing. Let me help you gain exposure for your business. I don't care if it's a pontoon rental company, they sell boats. I'm reaching out to all these people. I sent out several DMs to local businesses last week because I need to get back and do some of these green screen videos. I got one reply from one of the restaurants. So I'm sending out like, hey, what are your top 3 to 5? What are your top 3 to 5 best sellers? What are your top 3 to 5 most favorite menu items? And just people are starting to recognize like who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And I'm sure to tell people, bye Tracy, thanks for joining us. I'm sure to tell people like who I am and why I'm doing it. Like I'm trying to build a name for myself around the lake. So by helping elevate your business, it's going to elevate me, help me get recognized in the community. So I think most agents, you know, after hearing that may go, well, shoot, am I overcomplicating it? Or am I just too scared? Am I frozen in place?
Everybody overcomplicates it. No,
Yeah.
that's part of the process.
So I think it's easy, right, to send somebody a DM or a text. The whole thing that really provides the paralysis is the talking to the stranger, the calling to
Mm.
somebody you don't know, the horrible, horrible activity of cold calling. It's just terribly frightening to people. So it's for me, it just saves time to send them a Facebook DM. I can see when they see it. If they don't respond, so I had out of those like 5 or 6 I sent last week, I had one respond. I think like 2 haven't seen it and the rest have seen it. So the ones that I know that have seen it, I'm gonna follow back, go, hey, did you have questions about this offer? Or, I provided an example. I can provide more examples. It doesn't cost anything. That's the biggest thing. People want to know, what does it cost?
Mm.
So who are you reaching out to? I wish Anissa was on this call because I did want to follow up with her because this is the classic example, right? So we had what I feel like could have been a productive call with her last week because we encouraged her to start giving some serious thought to a specialization. She had some ideas. I don't know if she was really on the right track with it. One of the things I know that agents do is they overcomplicate that process as well. Like they've got this big grand specialization and it's like the simpler, the better. The simpler.
What 2020 defines motto needs to be in this company. Undercomplicate.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So I want to see, like, what has she done in the last week? What did she do from Monday to Monday? And typically, what we would see would be not much.
That's usually how it goes. Can't get done, can't get done. Wednesday hits on. What's the point?
So here's an example of how to like super simplify this is to go out right now, get out of your office, get out of your home office and go start loving on builder reps. We had an agent that left our company to go work for Roush Coleman. He reached out to me and said, hey, I would love it if you'd stop by my community to come look at the homes. Okay. Now I could have just said, yeah, sure, I'll come out and do that. But I need to assess, right? Because my time is valuable. And I've talked like when I was my opening dialogue, if you will, about, running the plays that work. So how is running out there to tour his homes, how is that going to actually help me or him? Like, I don't even know exactly where he is. I just responded to him. I go, man, I would love to, but I'm not going to be able to help you in the way you want me to help you unless you get me permission from your sales manager to go out there and do some marketing. They need to let me put it on YouTube. They need to let me put the listings on Facebook Marketplace. They need to let me market it on social media. They need to give me free reign. Okay. And I can tell you, I'm already doing it with Valor and DR Horton, been doing it with DR Horton for a while. But if Anissa was like, yeah, I'm just going to go be a new construction specialist, they like something you can go out right away and start executing on right away. Okay. And you can start making progress so fast. I just recall her, like I'm having really trouble, I think, really recalling what her specialization was because it was just too big. It was too broad. This is all about getting as small as you possibly can and then growing out from there, right? It's like with the lake. The lake covers 3 counties. And so I started in a very specific segment learning about the area really from Crane Hill out. And now I know a lot of stuff about Double Springs and Arley and Jasper, and able to answer questions. And, I've been out to, if somebody said, have, a lake buyer from Florida who is a huge pizza fanatic. And he's like, where can I get pizza around here? That's a question like I need to be able to answer. Where can I go to get my boat worked on?
Hunts Brothers.
Where, yeah.
Gas station.
Yeah, at every gas station around here, you can find Hunts Brothers. But there's two places that I specifically offered and sent him like the menus for, like, hey, you should go check out these 2 places. So, of your area of specialty, expertise, whatever you want to call it, are you becoming totally immersed? And who knows? I mean, that I think there is a reason why you don't get a lot of participation on a call like this, because we're really, we're diving into it and we're asking people to really start to define themselves as business owners. And there's one, or should be one, primary, very clear focus of who you're going after. So I just love the simplification of, I'm going after lake buyers, lake sellers, period. Period. That's it. It's just like, oh, that's so simple. So the sooner you can get to that place, and you might have to test out a bunch of different things, or the new construction specialization that you work for a year or two may lead to something else. It may lead to like a builder, up and coming builder, contacting you going, I love what you're doing with these builders, but come work for me 100% focus on my homes. I'm going to be building so many homes a year. Who knows what it might lead to. You just never know. It might help open some doors. It might help give you some clarity on what you want to focus on. The thing that I love about the simplicity of the lake and my mission on the lake is also that it's somewhere where I like spending time. When I'm showing these homes, it doesn't feel like work. You hear a lot of people at the beach that sell condos say that exact same thing. When I'm showing condos all day long, marketing condos listings, doesn't feel like work. Where can you go find a consistent source of business where it doesn't feel like work? The way that, Chris was describing, his investor relationships, it sounds like that is something he is trying to evolve from. It served its purpose. Now he's evolving into something else. He wants to go after listings. Again, my advice is small. The smaller, the better. The small, more defined area, like be the loft condo listing agent downtown, be the historic listing agent in Highland Park, be the Ross Bridge listing expert. And that's putting out stats, it's studying the market, it's learning everything you can. Like one of the things I've got to do, because people have been asking me, hey, how deep is it at the dock? And I'm like, I don't know. It's freaking deep. Out here at the lake, it could be 20 feet. It could be 90 feet at the end of somebody's dock. So like I got this damn depth finder, handheld depth finder. I got to figure out how to use it. So I can go there and bloop. Here I'm going to keep it. Maybe I'll get a tool belt, Blake. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Tim the Taylor tool belt. I'll have my depth finder, maybe an electric measure, get my measuring tape,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to use any of it, but that makes sense.
I've got it. I've got
Yeah,
it.
you got
I know how to
it.
use this stuff. So I think that's important, right? What are you doing? What are you focusing on? Is it feeding your soul and your bank account? Man, that would be awesome. But I forgot what I was going to say because Blake distracted me. But let's say Chris wanted to stick with the investor specialization, and like what was it, a couple weeks ago he was in the office and he's been trying to get these people on the phone from that live next door to his current flip project that they're got on the market that they're selling, and finally got them on the phone and got somebody who was engaged about, what kind of offer can we get for this property. So for some people, it might be the chase, going in for the kill, going in for the close that feeds their soul and of course feeds their bank account. But there's so many examples of this. And if you're not seeking it, you'll never find it. So I was going through, and let's see what time it is. Oh, shoot, it's 11:43. So I'll go through this one little story.
Hey, I wanted to say one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Add on to what you're saying. A lot of people miss the chances that are given to them. In our business, real estate, I mean, there's so many realtors that miss like 90% of the chances that are there for them. And all they have to do is just really just talk, open your mouth up. You don't really have to talk about real estate. Just engage in conversation with a person. Guess what? It will naturally come out because someone's going to ask you what you do. You know, if you haven't met that person before, oh, what do you do for work? And then that came out. Oh, what areas do you sector in? Oh, in this area. Oh, okay. You know, in this area. And that can grow into something, and you can nurture that and hopefully make some money off of it eventually down the road.
I think that's an excellent point. I mean, it brings me back to, like, we've already used one of the big C's: real estate, business building, confidence. Another one is curiosity. So many real estate agents, I know that, like, they want people to be like naturally curious about what they do, what areas they specialize in, you know, where is the depth of their expertise, you know, how's the market doing, what's the best loan program, what's the interest rate. You know, they want to field all these questions, but they're not understanding the rules of engagement. And so, you know, you cannot make a withdrawal without first making a deposit. So just being curious with people, like, you know, I may have better luck, you know, reaching out to some of these businesses to help me create social media content by starting out my offer, really is what it is, offer to help them market their business by being curious about how they got into this business and how long they've been in this business. And then, of course, stroking their ego and going, man, I've been in there. I've had a slice of that pizza. It's awesome. Like, y'all really do well. The customer service is great. All these different things are great. But you got to get out there and engage. I think it's a good segue to my end point about the memory that popped up in the Facebook memory that popped up today about a book that I was preaching about called Blue Fishing. Really simple read. You know, it's my type of book, big font, few pages type deal. But it's just a simple story about how it's about a guy in the UK who was like, I don't know, third, fourth, sixth generation bricklayer. I don't know what it was, but that's all his family has done. Like, since, you know, as long as he can remember, everybody has never had a goal or an aspiration, the men at least in their family, because that's what they become. I mean, that's their chosen profession, and that's just what everybody does. And so, you know, that's what you're going to do. And he tried it. And he's like, shit, this is heavy. You know, this is backbreaking work. I don't want to do this. And he didn't had any idea what he wanted to do. How many real estate agents do we know get their real estate license and they just have no idea what direction to go in? You know, they're just totally overwhelmed, and everybody's like, go this way and go that way, yeah, and do this. And they're like, well, oh, I just don't know what to do. And he's like, just get out there and do something. So what's the easiest thing, or one of the easiest things you can get out and do, is host an open house. You know, if we've got agents that want to host open house, reach out to for sale by owners and ask to hold their house open. You know, would you be open to me hosting an open house at your property this coming Sunday? Not going to cost you anything. There's no obligation. I'm going to host it for you. And here are the benefits. Here are the reasons why. Because people don't want to see your house with you in it. So you need to get that out of the way and let me take over. There's going to be a lot of marketing leading up to the open house. It's going to give you and I a lot of exposure. It's a win-win. What are your objections? Bring them to me. Bring them to me. What are your objections? Let me handle them one at a time. And who knows where that's going to lead? Who knows where that's going to lead? Okay. Any other questions, comments before we wrap? Sorry, this one took a little bit longer, but you know, if Blake hadn't interrupted so many times, or did it made us see him yawn, like up his nose in his mouth. I mean, I just feel like Blake missed his calling. He should have been on the Geico commercials.
Too late. I was up too late.
Party too hard. All right. I'll see you guys later.